You thought your teenage years were over, not having to worry about acne anymore. But all of a sudden, it's back with a vengeance. It's Maskne, or the new acne. You're having breakouts from wearing a mask for an extended period of time. But here's the thing, we want you to keep wearing that mask to protect you from COVID-19. Or, if you're infected with the virus, the mask can prevent transmission. But we also want to help prevent Maskne. Fight it, or better yet, get rid of it forever. I'm Dr. Freddy Gomez. You're watching Med Talk Health Talk on CNN Philippines. Masks are a must in the time of COVID-19. It helps protect you. It also helps prevent the spread of the virus, in case you have it. The problem these days is wearing masks for an extended period of time is causing many of us to have breakouts. Joining us now to explain why this happens are Dr. Claudine Javier, head of the Outpatient Department of Dermatology at Makati Medical Center. And we also have Dr. Kathleen Ann Modina, who is our emergency medicine specialist. Thank you both for joining us. Now, I'll start first with Dr. K. Why are we breaking out? What's causing maskne, otherwise known as mask acne?
Usually when you wear a mask, especially if it's fit really well, that's what you're supposed to have in a mask that fits really well pressed against the face. It will cause what you call acne mechanica. So the mask will trap in heat, it's gonna press against your face, it's gonna clog pores, you're gonna accumulate dirt and oils. So that's why you have zits all over after you take off your mask if you're wearing it for a long time. Other people, they react allergically to the mask material, like in surgical masks.
Now, maskne is not actually a new thing because this condition happens to people who wear helmets for a long period of time, like football players or those who ride motorcycles or bikes. And as you said, Dr. K, the mask or helmet or any covering traps humidity. Now, maskne is not just acne or pimples. It could mean a number of skin irritations. Dr. Javier, pwede ba nating explain natin ito? For example, those with, let's say, rosacea. Can this condition get worse with the wearing of a mask?
Usually, patients with rosacea will say that they have been having redness for flaring on their skin, and then it's stinging and burning. And when you check the skin, when they lift up the mask, we will find broken down blood vessels like telangiectasias and spider veins, also papules, pustules, and nodules, and acneiform eruptions. So when you wear mask a lot, this usually induces heat inside. So this flares up your rosacea.
That's right. So iba-ibang effect niyan. Sometimes you'll get acne or pimples. And in some cases, contact dermatitis naman yan. Dr. Javier, ano naman itong contact dermatitis? Paliwanag natin to.
There are certain masks kasi that are manufactured containing chemicals like allergens. Examples are formaldehyde and bronopol, which is very common in surgical masks, like Dr. K said a while ago. So your patients will usually present with itchiness and redness and acneiform eruptions and sometimes blisters in the area in contact with the mask.
Now, meron ding tinatawag, doktora, na folliculitis. So, Dr. Javier, what happens to the skin with this condition naman?
Okay. Freddy, kasi di ba when your mouth and nose is enclosed with the mask, what happens is that you breathe in hot air to the mask. So the increased temperature, the heat, plus the humidity, they really provide a very good medium for bacteria, fungus, and yeast to flourish. So when you get a cut or a break in the skin and fungus, yeast, or bacteria infects your hair follicle, a pimple-like lesion can grow out of it, and this is called your folliculitis.
Okay, now, no matter what happens though, resist the temptation to touch your face because touching or scratching can make things worse. Dr. K, let's talk about that now because touching your face can increase bacterial and oils in your skin. And besides, we really need to avoid touching our face during this time of COVID-19 because it can also spread the virus.
Absolutely. As much as possible, if you're outside and you have not sanitized your hands, you definitely should avoid touching your mouth, your nose, and your eyes because these are entry points for the COVID virus. Not only that, if your hands are dirty and you touch your face and then you put your mask back on, it's just an oven cooking pimples. So as much as possible, if you're outside and your hands are not sanitized, don't remove your mask, don't touch your face, or especially your eyes as well.
And choosing the right mask can help as well. But there are other steps you can take to avoid maskne. We'll discuss them after a break. You're watching Med Talk Health Talk, where your health comes first. We're keeping you well, especially this time of COVID-19. I'm Dr. Freddy Gomez. Today, our topic is maskne, otherwise known as mask acne. Now, wearing a mask to protect us from COVID-19 also means we're also trapping air and moisture. There's not enough airflow around the face, making it easier for bacteria to build up. Then there's friction between your skin as well as the mask. Now, Dr. K, there are individuals who are more prone to maskne. Is it advisable for them to make their own do-it-yourself or DIY homemade masks for themselves?
Well, I don't think it's exactly recommendable because according to the WHO and the CDC, people are allowed to make homemade masks according to standards. Like it has to be at least 2 to 3 ply, 100% cotton. But even then, the filtration for the virus is only 50%. It does not give you great protection, but it is better than nothing. I would suggest these people who have problems with maskne, they would go to a board-certified dermatologist so they could talk about their options and they would know which masks they're allergic to. For example, if you have contact dermatitis with surgical mask material like polypropylene, you would avoid surgical masks made out of polypropylene. You can opt to wear cotton masks, or you can wear cotton mask first and a surgical mask on top. That's what other people do. So it doesn't make contact with the skin.
Now, Dr. Javier, let's discuss the step-by-step on how to prevent maskne. Cleansing is key here, but how often should we wash our face?
We should limit the washing of the face to just really 2 times a day. Let's not follow how we wash our hands, or else we're really gonna irritate our face and dry up our skin. So limit it to 2 times a day and use a gentle, soap-free and fragrance-free cleanser, and then apply moisturizer right after. May I add that after wearing your mask, you also wash your face because of the heavy sweat, the dirt, and the debris, the bacteria that flourishes inside it while you're wearing your mask. So you should also wash immediately your face when you get home.
That's right, that's good advice. And when they wash their face, they should also avoid rubbing their faces with a towel after washing, especially if you already have skin irritations around the mask line. Now, Dr. Javier, are there any types of medicated cleansers that one can use, especially those who already have serious flare-ups?
Okay, for those with serious flare-ups or acne-prone skin, I would like to recommend products that have salicylic acid or glycolic acid because this decreases hyperkeratosis, thereby removing the plugs that irritate your hair follicle or your pores, and also decreases the oil buildup. And then I will also recommend benzoyl peroxide wash because of its antiseptic effect.
Now, we advise our viewers, of course, to see your doctor when your maskne is becoming a real problem for you. Continuing with Dr. Javier, are there topical creams you usually advise for people with maskne?
I advise for people with maskne because usually the skin starts very dry and irritated. So moisturizers that have ceramides, hyaluronic acid, and dimethicone. These are different kinds of moisturizers that have soothing effect, and dimethicone usually gives a protective barrier to the skin to prevent from chafing coming from the mask. And I will also recommend for those with acne-prone skin to use a non-comedogenic moisturizer.
And if you're being treated for maskne, we also advise that you avoid wearing makeup for the time being. Dr. Javier, please talk us through how makeup products can get in the way of treating maskne.
Nako, siguro for now, wag na lang muna tayong mag-makeup kasi our pores are getting occluded already just with the mask itself. What if we put pa makeup so the pores get clogged more, producing more breakouts? So let's skip the makeup first for now.
Dr. Javier, what about those who have a normal or regular skin routine? Should they keep going or should they change that up? What's the best routine for maskne?
I will recommend those that are a bit medicated. They can try the salicylic, the acid washes, but be very careful because your skin is already irritated. So you cut down a bit. If you're using like a 7-step, an 8-step skincare routine, cut down to just the two, the cleanser and the moisturizer. If you have a complete line, like you also apply retinol, salicylic acid, you even exfoliate, don't do that first when your skin is irritated because you're gonna be irritating it more and produce more breakouts.
We have more tips for you to avoid or prevent maskne, so stay with us. We'll be right back. One of the trending words of 2020 is maskne, a common condition that's caused by prolonged use of masks, which have been proven to help protect us from COVID-19. But your mask is also a breeding ground for bacteria due to the warm, moist environment that happens when you're breathing with a mask on. So today, we're talking about how we can prevent maskne. And some studies suggest to take the time to remove your mask even for a short time. Dr. K, how is this best handled?
Well, if you're really worried about maskne or you're suffering from maskne and you want to alleviate your skin problems, the American Academy of Dermatology does recommend removing your mask every 4 hours for 15 minutes. That is correct, Freddie. If you decide to do that, I would highly suggest you go to outside, open air, to a place where there's no people, or at least there are people at least, probably 3 meters away, just to be really sure. I do not recommend removing your mask indoors where there's air conditioning and there's no good ventilation, or if you're indoors and there is no air HEPA filters. I would not recommend that because the risk of getting COVID inside such a space is very high.
Now, for frontline medical workers, there are specific masks that they're required to use. Dr. K, can we discuss these types of masks?
Okay, so there are different masks according to what we do in the hospital. According to the WHO, the CDC, and also DOH, it's divided into aerosol generating procedures and non-aerosol generating procedures. What does that mean? When you say non-aerosol generating procedures, you're just seeing patients. It also depends if you're dealing with a COVID or non-COVID patients. You usually wear surgical masks like this. These surgical masks are usually made from polypropylene. Some people are allergic to this. And there are different categories for surgical masks. If you buy ones made from the United States, it's standardized to ASTM 1, 2, and 3. That's according to how fluid resistant it is. Best is ASTM 3. However, it's not considered protective against COVID because even though some of them, like ASTM 2 and 3, they have a 98% filtration efficiency against COVID, when you wear the mask like this, there are a lot of gaps in between the face, right? So any air gap between you and the face, that decreases filtration efficiency by 30 to 60%. It's really not that good. If you're able to control the gaps, like you have a better fitting face mask, or you use ear guards like this to make it a tighter fit against your face, probably you can decrease the air gaps, but that's not recommended if you're going to go into COVID patient care. COVID patient care, we use N95, N99 masks. That is a bare minimum. That's the only thing you can really use if you're handling COVID patients or high-risk patients. N99 masks are even higher. That's 99.97% filtration of 0.3 micron particles. And also another one is PAPR. These are powered respirators. It's like a hazmat suit that you put on your head and it blows fresh air all around your face. That's like the number one thing that we desire to wear if we're being in a high risk environment.
Now, in the market, there are copper masks, silicone masks, and then there are the fabric masks. Dr. K, for the benefit of our viewers and all that's available out there, what works best?
What works best is you have to look at the manufacturer's data about filtration. You can't just say like, oh, it filters out whatever. It doesn't. Like, for example, the reusable mask I personally use is a Cambridge mask. Their data shows 99.97% filtration of 0.3 microns. It's an N99 level mask. So you can't just take the advertisement as it is. You need to talk to the sellers. You need to look at the website and check what is my filtration data. So my bare minimum for such things is 0.3 microns, size, filtration of at least above 90%. If it's something like that, it's good. You know, reusable fabric masks can be very effective if you know where to look. For example, the silicone masks, well, it has a good fit. I've researched some of the filters. They claim it's KN95, and they show Chinese government records that it does indeed filter out 0.3 micron size, 95% efficiency, which I guess it's good enough. But unfortunately, a lot of those in the market are falsified, so you have to be very careful as well. As for copper masks, unfortunately, I don't recommend using it alone, because if you see the copper mask design, there's a gigantic hole at the bottom for ventilation. Now, copper masks are great if you wear a mask first, then a copper mask on top. It helps keep your mask underneath very clean. That's great, but I would not recommend using a copper mask alone without any mask underneath.
Now, before I let you go, Dr. Javier, do you have any advice for our viewers when it comes to preventing and treating maskne?
Okay, to all our viewers, it's easy to prevent maskne. Just practice a very good hygiene. Always remember to wash your face twice a day and apply moisturizer. In choosing the right cleanser, choose a cleanser that is mild, moisturizing, soap-free, and fragrance-free. And for the moisturizer, try to choose a moisturizer that is non-comedogenic and also that is very light and non-fragrance.
Very good advice. And Dr. K, any quick messages for our viewers?
So everyone keep safe, and you really have to make your due diligence when purchasing masks, because there's a lot of options out there, but unfortunately not all of them are best for you. So you really have to, number one, really read up on the data, filtration data, and make sure, number two, no matter how good your mask is, if the fit is not well on your face, that means there's some gaps, it's loose, it's not good enough. You really have to make sure that it fits well on your face. And lastly, please wear your masks properly. It has to cover your nose, it has to cover your mouth, and it should have no air gaps, because I still do see a lot of people not wearing masks correctly.
Also, there are people who wear their masks for a month. So I think if your mask is the disposable surgical mask, you should dispose it a day you wear it.
Now, before we go, let's review the proper way to wear a mask. Wash your hands well before putting on your mask, and make sure your mask is covering your nose, mouth, as well as your chin. And if you're using a disposable mask, throw it out at the end of the day, ideally. Now, for those wearing fabric masks, wash them at the end of your day and never reuse them without washing them properly. We'd like to thank our guests for today, emergency medicine specialist Dr. Kathleen Ann Modina and dermatologist Dr. Claudine Javier. Marami pong salamat sa inyong dalawa. Face masks provide protection against COVID-19. That, combined with physical distancing and good personal hygiene, are your best defense against the virus. I'm Dr. Freddy Gomez. You're watching CNN Philippines. Stay safe, everyone.